Hello, everybody, and welcome to a new episode of Ladies Fashion Showcase. We haven't done this in quite a bit, have we?
It's been a hot minute. It has been a hot diggity minute, a hot diggity dog, if you will. How are you
I
doing, my friend?
know. A lot better than before. How are you?
That's what we like to hear. Progress.
Yes.
Progress is always good.
Yes.
I'm doing okay. It's been a hot minute since I've been on this podcasting thing. It took me a hot minute to find my headphones and materials to get this all set up, but hopefully we can get things kind of back in the swing of things
English.
soon.
English. You sure?
Do I speak it? It is questionable. It is questionable. I mean, maybe I'm just getting confused because I am trying to learn Japanese right now. Would love to be able to understand the Japanese commentary because sometimes the English
Mm.
commentary on pro wrestling, especially gets a little bit upsetting. Upsetting. We'll say that. But yeah, we have a very special episode here today, though. I am very excited that you asked
Oh.
me to be here.
Mhm. I mean, it's one of those things like I know we saw it at different times, so we both gonna have like different views on this. So it's gonna be very interesting. But we're here
Mhm,
to talk about the movie Queen of the Ring because it's coming out this weekend on digital for
mhm.
purchase, and it returning to theaters in some theaters. It's very limited as well, as we learned through this ordeal that this movie had a
Yeah,
very limited release. As we learned because I saw it first and then you saw I think like almost a month later, if I'm not mistaken, more or less something like that.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so I figured we haven't talked about it. I've only talked about it once, and I feel like once is not enough. To be honest, I wanted to have it on my
Mhm,
platform as well somehow. So why
mhm.
not talk about it today? Um,
Yeah.
we'll start, I guess, from the beginning. Like, how did you feel about the movie?
I mean, overall, I had a great time. So, first of all, there was very limited theaters in the city that we were able to go to. So, I'm not gonna lie, I did have to. Thankfully, I went with my former podcast partner, Andre C., who's also an OLE contributor, as well as our good friend Peggy, who's also you've done work with. I think OLE has done work with. She's on Marvel Talk quite a bit on OLE. When we went down there, it was a journey to find the theater. We were a little lost, but we had a good time finding it. When we got there, there were so many people from our local wrestling community that came out to see this movie on the same night because it came out, I think, only had a couple showings. It was, again, very limited showing, and we kind of felt like we were like, at one point, Peggy felt like she was hounding people, trying to figure out what was going on. Um, but yeah, got into the theater, had our snackety snacks, had our drinkity drinks. The movie, though, oh my gosh. So give this movie a solid 8 out of 10 for overall. There was certain points, just little, I'll say micro points within the movie where, how do I word this? It felt like the acting was not quite 100% genuine. Like it felt like an episode of Raw where some of the people like Cora Jade or Natalia Neidhart, when they're delivering lines, they don't quite sound like you hear the words that are coming out of their mouth, but they don't quite sound, what's the word I'm looking for? Like maybe realistic.
I was gonna say
Like,
like believable, maybe.
yeah, it didn't sound, the tone did not match the
Hmm.
situation, but it didn't do anything to ruin the moment at any point in time. For me, it just felt like a really, it's going to sound weird, a long episode of Raw, even though I haven't watched Raw in a really long time. That's what it felt like. It felt like instead of watching a story that progresses over 2 or 3 months with like 5 or 10 minute promos on Raw or SmackDown leading up to the kind of final match, it felt like an hour and a half long of following just a singular story through the wrestling plot, and I actually really had a good time with it. I'm not gonna lie, there was multiple times where I just definitely was like, kick him down the stairs, brogue, just yeet dude off of something. They did a really good job at making the heel in
Hmm.
that. Really good job in making you fight and feel for the people like who were not the heels, the faces, if you will.
Yeah.
Astrid, now that my long-windedness has taken over, what did you think?
I really enjoyed it. I did have times that I feel like I kind of dipped in. It felt like it dragged on for a little bit at times for me. That's the only like
Mhm,
downfall for me in some aspects of it because I didn't realize it until later. While I was looking over at the show times, that I think it was like it's 2 hours and 20 minutes. So I had
mhm,
moments that I was like, dang, like I feel like I'm halfway through the movie and this hasn't happened yet, or I'm waiting for this part or this part, or like how is it gonna
mhm,
end? And it had me with questions like that. But one thing I will give it props to is that with the wardrobe itself, the wardrobe of the movie makes you feel like you're in that time frame. I feel like I was
mhm,
back in that time, and I was one of the people just watching this happen as it was unfolding. That's
mhm.
how it felt being there. And
Except for Tony.
if
That was just a regular Tuesday
yeah,
for Tony's story.
yes, Tony, that's a regular day for her. But I feel like everybody else was. It feel like it sent me back in time in that aspect of it, and I felt like I was
Mhm,
there with them as I was like basically transforming myself into that time frame, and I really
mhm,
enjoyed that part of it. I think the only other part was like there were moments like, for example, Naomi, aka Trinity from WWE. We only saw her for like
mhm,
not even 5 minutes of this whole movie. I was hoping she'll be there a little bit longer. We're obviously, like I said,
mhm,
the movie's 2 hours 20 minutes, so I was hoping she'll be there more.
mhm,
Mickey James, we see like I feel like a quick second as well, like you almost blink and you miss her, which I didn't realize. And at first,
mhm.
it took me a moment to realize it was her, and by the time I did, she was gone already as well. But
Same thing with Brit. I felt that same thing
yeah,
with Brit. When I saw Brit
yeah.
flash on there, I actually thought she was Mickey James.
No, I feel bad.
I know, and like it definitely though it helps drive home the point that as much as we did
Yeah.
want to hear this story, we were also hoping to see a lot of women being kind of showcased in this. And there were women on set, as you mentioned, Trinity, Rick Baker, Mickey James. It's just they didn't get that kind of
Hmm.
pizzazz that someone like maybe they got in the Wrestler movie, for example, because there was a lot of wrestlers in the Wrestler, and we got to see them. We got screen time. I felt like our truth in the Wrestler got more screen time than Mickey James in this one.
And I think another part about this one too is that I wish, for me at least, from what I saw online, the only company that I saw promoting this on their socials constantly was TNA. When I didn't even see anybody from TNA that I remember in the cast. I There was two of the actresses in one of the AW pay-per-views. They just showed up and they gave him a microphone and they said something, and it like infuriated the whole internet wrestling community. So it wasn't even great. And then WWE, like they posted people in the movie premiere, like Trinity with her neck brace after everything happened with Jay Cargill, which I love her keeping up the storytelling even in real life. Props to her for that. But I feel like either company could have done better about promoting it as well. Like when your stars are part of this movie, I get it when there's people in the competition on the other side, but at least promote about and do an interview or some kind of like video package about them being at the premiere and show it during Raw or the SmackDown just to get people watching it more often. Like TNA is the only moment that I saw was during their programming. I saw the trailer for the movie and in their socials they kept promoting the movie as well, and I feel like that was the only time that I really saw like more of a promotion in it, and I I feel like maybe it was me, but the only person that I saw that was like that was with Jim Cornette, which surprisingly for me to see him being promoted that moment as well, I think like that was a big factor to it too. But yeah, I
Mhm,
wish I would have promoted this a little bit more, especially with the ladies here. And I know at the moment like Naomi had that storyline with Jade, but I feel like it could have easily done a little bit more of showing them at the red carpet, getting a couple interviews with all of them that were there, and do it like a
uh-huh,
little real video package to it to show during those shows and help people
mhm,
realize that the movie's out. Because I like we mentioned a little bit ago, I didn't know it had such a limited like release. When I went to look for showtimes, the nearest one I had was like more than 30 minutes away from me. And I usually don't even go to the movie theater. I went to the movie theater just to see this movie because I wanted to watch it before it went out of the movie theater. And that was the
same.
closest one. At the same time, I'm hoping that now with the digital release, it will help out to promote it a little bit more as well. And I hope that we get more eyes on it too. Like one thing that I feel like would have been better because, for example, one of the people that we see the most in this movie from the wrestlers is Camille from AEW. And it
Mhm.
actually became at a really terrible time because she got taken off TV around the same time this happened. So you don't even see Camille promoting the movie in AEW, which would have been the biggest one to promote this whole thing because she's in there the most out of anybody. Like, really, I would have loved to like have her like even at the red carpet again in AEW, do a
Mhm.
little video of her getting promoted, of her sitting with the actresses while they were at the pay-per-view, interview her, have
Mhm.
her show up, or have a storyline for her at that moment, so that way she can say like, "Oh, I drew inspiration from my character, June Byers, and that's why I'm here," something like that. But I feel like that both companies really failed at that aspect of it.
I mean, and again, like I also say this, I always have to disclose this. I say this with a very limited education on both AEW and WWE because I don't watch their content, period. I watch their pay-per-views and that's it. But that being said, I saw more sponsorship advertisements coming from the movie itself and production
Mm-hmm.
company itself than I did AEW or WWE. And again, that does kind of bother me as well, because as you'd mentioned, the whole thing with Naomi and Jade Cargill going on at that time. I mean, you couldn't have planted a reporter and had Naomi do just a little shoot promo talking trash on the red carpet and being like, "Hey, I'm at the red carpet. Where are you? Where are you?
Mm-hmm.
I'm here, hi," you know?
Yeah.
But at the same time, as you mentioned, the whole thing with Camille, I remember when I saw her go to AEW, I had hope. And then it seems like she's kind of joined the ever spinning cycle of women going down the drain and just showing up, and it's like a flash pan, if you will. And then once they face either Tony or Mercedes, they're no longer kind of relevant. And it's very unfortunate because not only did they have Camille on there, who she's still signed with them, isn't she?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That does seem like a very stupid point on Tony Khan's point,
Mm-hmm.
considering the state of the company. Um, but also then having Britt Baker on there, and I know she's kind of the pariah over there right now as well, such as the word means over there. I'm not entirely sure they know the definition of proper words anymore. But you would think that they would be like, hey, one of our former AEW champions, Britt Baker, we used to love her. She's in this movie, just so you know. Maybe you should come watch where she got her thing, There's a certain amount of clout that both AEW and WWE and even TNA with Mickey James could have pulled from this. And then especially having one of the main characters in the cast being Moolah, or not Moolah, Mae Young. So like
Yeah.
it felt like there was a lot of opportunity missed and almost kind of felt like these companies didn't want to acknowledge that the movie had even happened, let alone that it actually was pretty good. It's disappointing. And I kind of feel like it's almost coming from a place of pettiness at this point, where I'm like, at some point in time, cooler heads and business heads need to prevail. WWE is in a very prominent position. It didn't need the exposure, but it could have helped. AEW is in a position where I feel that it needs the exposure. It needs the attention. And in that time, they should have started getting Camille on there more and having her do something instead of being Mercedes Monet's thing. I don't know. There's not a
I
nice
would say
thing to call
bodyguard.
that. I don't even say that nicely because how insulting is that to the champion that she would
Mm-hmm.
need a bodyguard having that many championships on her? You should be capable on your own. You don't need a bodyguard. You could have it like a security, but even still, like it's still degrading to one of the
Mm-hmm.
longest reigning NWA champions, right?
Yeah,
And, and
and thinking
considering
about
how
people.
great she did too.
Yeah, and I feel like and one that would have been so easy would have been Tony Storm, Timeless. Like her character is her being around that time frame anyway. So it's like that could have been another easy one for you to bring up because one of the actresses that was there at the pay-per-view at the time, I forgot what question they asked her, but her answer was like, one thing I learned from the movie was basically that everything's like predetermined and you guys know you're gonna win before you even come out of there. That was her answer. like in front of like the whole audience with a microphone that everybody could hear. So everybody's like, why would you say that on a pay-per-view? I'm like, you gotta think of something else to like another way to promote this rather than just having the actresses there at ringside. They're like, and everybody's so
Yeah,
quiet. And that's so
yeah.
awkward.
It's like, girl, come on now. Come on now. We didn't have to say that out loud. It was one of those things where we just know that the point of the
Right.
show is to suspend the reality to make it feel like it's not.
Mm-hmm.
A proper
Yeah.
wrestler can make you believe that it's not predetermined.
Mm-hmm.
Yikes.
Yeah. Yeah. And going back to the movie, I know I felt this way. I want to know if you felt the same way. I feel like it
Mm,
also had a really good balance of um her character here, the main character, and Mildred
mhm.
in her personal life and her professional life as well. I like
Absolutely.
that we get to learn not only her life and how she grew up as well, and her marriage and kids, family, all that stuff, but also
Hmm.
learning how she was breaking out not only for herself but for other women. I love the fact that
Hmm.
she wants to use her platform not only for like use her name to motivate other people to uplift other women as well as they show you in the movie and
Hmm.
to get things started and get the ball rolling for other women. It's like if I can do it, then we can add more women to this. And even at the
Hmm.
end, we see her, competing with her ex-husband. Spoiler alert! At that point, to do that rival company here and to draw in women's wrestling to show that women can actually wrestle and that it could be led by women and have such a woman-centric like. Imagine a male-dominated industry the way it is with wrestling. So I feel like the movie had a great balance of like showing us both sides of her. Did you feel the same as
Hmm.
well?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I liked how the continuity just kind of flowed into like the scene from previous. Does that make sense? I don't know if I worded that right. The personal life stuff that you would see, it would flow into the wrestling part and still be able to be seen, and then it would keep progressing. So yeah, I did like how it was very simple to kind of keep up with. There wasn't a whole lot of room for confusion or error. Like I'm a very simple-minded amoeba when I watch any kind of entertainment. I need what's being told to me to be done in as straightforward a manner as possible. So you can tell that like M. Night Shyamalama Lama 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 Ding Dong, however you say his name, is not something that I particularly like watching because of the amount of thinking you need to do. But yeah, I totally agree with you, and I definitely see how each scene kind of flowed to the next. Also fed into how I felt about certain characters in the movie. You know, you start to really hate the husband character. You start to really, especially as a woman,
Mhm.
start to feel that you're behind Millie and like you would be one of those girls who'd be tiny but mighty, just knocking
Mhm.
people out. Yeah, I also really enjoyed to see how the friendships and the relationships of the women
Mhm.
either started or just how they altered or changed, grew closer, grew apart based on things that they were doing. There were several moments where the husband was in the well, he's not a great husband. And he was, hooking up with some of the other girls who were maybe not aware that him and Millie were together or who
Yeah.
were tricked or whatever. Some of them did it willingly, some of them not. But it was interesting to see how they dealt with it.
Mhm.
It kind of like she befriended and actually became stronger allies with some of the people who were initially on her husband's side of the game. So it's a very interesting way to kind of show the growth and strength of relationships, but then also to see the relationships kind of going on between the other guys. The
Mhm.
husband's son, how that relationship, what that different time, man, a
Mhm.
different time to be in love with your mother.
Mhm.
But yeah, to see also how the raising of Millie's son was happening on the road, how everyone just kind of came together, kind of took care of him. It was big family until it wasn't. Yeah, I actually really enjoyed that story. There was like a secondary kind of
Mhm.
story, not just about the sport, but also about like family, what it really
Yep.
meant to be family in professional wrestling.
I think that's also what I was thinking about, that it felt more realistic in that aspect too. Like you mentioned, the part of like the husband getting together with the other ladies because he promised them a spot, and that's how it used to
Mhm.
be, and even sometimes how it is nowadays still, even thinking about it in 2025. So I feel like even thinking about it now, it felt very, very realistic in that aspect of it, of how women are treated in the wrestling industry and how they're not
Mhm.
taken seriously unless there's a man like basically behind them or giving them that support as well. So seeing that aspect of it is like, oh, nobody wanted to give her the chance until he gave her that chance. So I'm like, if you think about it, that if it wasn't for him taking that chance on her and that leap of faith, she wouldn't be
Mhm.
where she was. And it's a lot similarly to what happens now still, and it's incredible thing like that happened so long ago, and even still to this day it's still like not exactly the same, but it's still very similar in so many ways.
Mhm.
And
It's just
I can kind of
modernized.
yeah, I kept thinking it's like this is still basically almost the same as it is then, and just incredible to think like how much time has happened and not
Yeah.
much has changed as much as you think about it, even with the women's revolution and everything going on.
People
You see
gonna
this and
peep.
it still happens. It's just incredible seeing that.
It
It's
is, yeah. People gonna peep, unfortunately. And yeah, as you mentioned, it's times have changed. It's just people not necessarily have.
Yeah, I did like you said also the fact that the women get together and they create such a bond with each other just because they want better spots and better things for them. It's like if we don't support each other and get together from here and team up, then it's not going to happen not only for us but the rest of them moving forward as well. And I like that,
Mhm.
that kind of trope of like we us being together. It's like kind of like what they said, the found family trope, and seeing that happen with these women, and the fact that not only because they're women but because they want to be female wrestlers, they create such a unique bond with each other, that it was nice to see them like even like in real life, taking rights from each other and supporting each other how they could as well, and even at one point training together to just to be able to change things and make history, because that's really what they wanted to do. And seeing that, it just reminds me so much of what we see here with the ladies, and what they mentioned how certain people are like really like locker room leaders, and they're willing
Mhm.
to step up for the rest of them. And I love seeing that in this movie too, that kind of like female empowerment. And when you leave there, you
Mhm.
feel like I want to do that too, even though you're not a wrestler too, but you kind of want to join in and support them in the same way.
I mean, you say that until you do the training and you take your first bump and then you're like, nah, I'm good. That was the experience I had.
Yeah.
You take your first bump
Yeah.
and it rattles every vertebrae of your spine and you're like, I'm better in the crowd. I'm much
But
better sitting down in the crowd.
yeah, no, you're right. But I feel like it almost made me realize, thinking about it like later on, just even if you're not able to obviously do it in the ring and help them in that way, but you can also uplift them the way we do online with the
Mhm.
hashtags, for example, speaking up for them and showing them support. I had some technical difficulties. Um, but no, it's like I thinking about I know even recently with everything going on with WWE, we had the W Women Deserve Better hashtag. So I feel like we as fans also see their point of view in a way, sort of not entirely because we're not in the ring like they are, but we also see it in our own way, and we want to support them. And I like the fact that even now we have this community online that we're able to show them that support, because imagine in those times if you're not around that town when they have their events, you wouldn't be able to show them support otherwise, because you're in
Mhm.
obviously in different cities. But I like seeing this aspect of it because it reminds me a lot as well of like how we saw a little bit of in Total Divas, of like the behind the scenes of the women, of then everything they had to fight for backstage and their lives outside of the ring. Like I felt like it was in a way reminded me a lot of that, of getting that like peek behind the curtain sort of view on it in the movie. But obviously this is the real life, so it's more realistic to know what's happening. Either way, we're gonna try to continue. But overall, I just like I like the fact that we're able to see how women, how they had to have and live through these times in
Mhm.
wrestling, how they went from it being illegal to where it is now as well. But I overall
Mhm.
I really enjoyed it. I just wish it would have been a little bit more promotional towards it. Like I said, I'm
Mhm.
hoping that now with the little release that will kind of change it a little bit there.
Yeah, because I remember, I mean, maybe it was because wasn't the wrestler produced by WWE in some way or funded in
I
some
don't
way?
I don't remember, to be honest, but it's been a long while.
I don't remember either, but I remember there being a lot of promotion around the wrestler to the point where it wasn't Mickey Rourke at WrestleMania and ended up in a fist fight with Chris Jericho,
I
which
think he
like
was there for
rock
training.
on, like harder, but Yeah, it was a little disappointing. I agree to see how
Mhm.
this wasn't promoted as diligently as other movies in the past, especially given, that it was kind of giving light to the wrestling world, which I'm going to be real right now. There's a lot of darkness kind of coming into the wrestling world right now with releases, with people not being happy with the way certain things are. I know, I mean, I've certainly complained to you about a lot of things. I don't even watch this content. So, it would have been nice to have something been like, hey, this is a happy thing. Go check it out and support women's wrestling. It would have been another
Mhm.
opportunity for something like what you had mentioned with the Give Divas a Chance, Divas Revolution. It would have given the women another opportunity to have another swell, because they have been doing really, really well over the last couple of years with starting to really promote the women and the feuds that they're having. I'm hearing a lot about some of these incredible feuds that these women are having. This could have helped even more.
Mhm.
We should have seen a little bit more. I agree. But
Yeah.
overall, great movie, great opportunity, great way to showcase women's wrestling. And to anyone who has had the opportunity to see it, I hope you enjoyed it, took something out of it, and feel motivated and happy to see women's wrestling.
Yeah. And yeah, well, definitely. If you haven't yet, if you have watched the movie, let us know in the comments down below how you felt about
Mhm.
it. If you haven't seen it, recommend it, and then come back and watch our review, and then let us know how you felt about it afterwards. But Melba, where can the people
Mhm.
find you?
If you're wanting to follow Melball, you can follow me on that X Twitter thingamajig at Collins Melball. You can follow me on everything else: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Mastodon, Blue Sky, Melball, Collins. And stay tuned to our local establishment in the next about month or so. You're going to be seeing some new content from yours truly coming out there. So stay tuned to my socials to find out when that's coming out. And
Cool.
that's it.
Uh, for now.
For
For
now.
me, you can find me on my Twitter in Blue Sky is Astrid Pizarro. My Instagram and Threads is Astrid Pizarro 20. And if you're here, you're most likely in my YouTube channel. So give it a thumbs up if you haven't and hit subscribe. Hopefully, we'll do a little bit more of these. So we'll see moving forward with it with Mel and my schedule. So it looks a little bit lighter for both of us nowadays. So maybe we'll get to do a little bit more. We have a lot to talk about that we have to catch up on. So hopefully, soon we'll have something more.
I have a list of
Yes.
topics, girl. List.
Yes. But yeah. Well, I want to thank everybody for watching, and then we'll see you guys next time.